Good day everyone. In this video, I am going to present the elements of a short story. But before that, I am going to present first our objectives for this topic. So the first one is demonstrate understanding of a short story. The second one is analyze a short story by identifying its basic elements. The third one is appreciate the use of multimedia and sharing the lessons learned from a short story. And the last one is perform a self or peer assessment and evaluating one's work. Now, let's proceed for the discussion of the topic. Let's define first the short story. Do you have an idea what this short story is? Well, I have here a definition about a short story. It says here that a short story is a brief fictional prose narrative that is shorter than a novel and usually deals with only a few characters. One of the example of a short story is the Telltale Heart, and the next one is The Lottery Ticket. Those are the example of a short story. And also, short story has a or short story has a 6 basic elements that you as a reader should look for when analyzing one. One of the elements of the short story is a character. When we say character, is a character in a short story is a person. In some stories, an animal who takes part in the action of the story or other literary work. The way an author develops the character in the story is very important in making the appeal to the readers. It is that the heart of the story are the characters. So characters is very important in the short story. There is two most important characters in the story. One of this is protagonist and the second one is the antagonist. So let's go deeper about these two elements or characters rather of the short story. When we say protagonist, protagonist is considered as the main character or the most important of all the characters because it is the character who learns something or undergo some changes throughout the course of the story. Some story depicts the protagonist as the hero of the story, while in the other stories, is the protagonist is not considered the hero as he has the nothing heroic. In any case, the story always revolve around the protagonist. So that is protagonist, while the antagonist is the character that challenges the main character. So it has no concern for the well-being of the main character and the antagonist. Maybe a person, the nature or the society or any intangible matters that contends with or create a problem in the protagonist. Those are the difference of the protagonist and antagonist. The second one is setting. When we say setting, it is the place or the local or in the time or the period when the story happens is called the setting. The setting may be based on real place and real time, or it may also be based on the author's imagination. So that is the setting. And the third one is the plot. When we say plot, it is the actual story or it is what the story is all about, because plot is the series of the event, characters' actions that lead to the highest point of interest in a short story. And also, there are different parts of story structure of plot. The first one is the exposition. So when we say exposition, it is the beginning of the story, or this is where the author introduces the characters, identifies where the story is happening, and also establishes the main conflict. So that is the plot. Exposition. The second one is the rising action. When we say rising action, this event occurs as you begin to move throughout the story. This is where conflict start to build. So that is the rising action. And the third one is the climax. When we say climax, it is the most exciting part of a short story. It is this is the part of the story when important decisions are made on important things are made, or important things are discovered. And the next one is the falling action. When we say falling action, this point occurs after the climax, as the problems in the story start to work themselves. So that's the falling action. And the last one is resolution. When we say resolution, is uh, the last one is resolution. When we say resolution, is this is the solution to the problem in a story. The solution may not, or may not be what you hope for, but as long as it fits the story in tone, in theme, the conflict has been the conflict has been resolved. So those are the different parts of the story structure under the plot. Next is conflict. Conflict is, every story needs to have a problem, and this problem is called conflict. So that is the definition of conflict. The main character, also called the protagonist, that needs to have someone or something to challenge him. Without of course, without the conflict, the story will not go anywhere and will not be very interesting to the reader. So it is very important that there is a conflict in the story. The character may also the character, or the main character rather, may be faced with one of the four different types of conflict. The first one is the man versus man, man versus nature, the man versus himself, and the last one is the man versus the society. So that is the conflict. Next is theme. When we say theme, it is the central idea in a short story and the general truth as well. This considered as an author's message to the readers. Let's have you an example. When we say if a story theme refers to the central idea, we can talk about like love is patient. If it's general truth, we can talk about regrets are always at the end. And for the author's message, you may end as a theme, or the importance of family, or a theme can be, like for example, fear, happiness, war, learning, and etc., or anything under the sun. So you can have a theme, anything that you want. So that's the theme. So the last one for the basic elements of the short story is the point of view, or what is so called the POV. So when we say POV, it is the way of the story or told or narrated. if you are you can see this in, or if you are a reader of what Padder's story, you already know it. So also it is also known as vantage point, that the writer was to narrate the story. Under the point of view, there is a types of short stories. The first one is the first person. When we say first person, the narrator participates in and tells the story using the pronoun I. It is the easiest to determine because of the pronoun I, as the authors narrate. Uh, as the author narrates, it's for himself. So that's the first person. The second one is the limited third person. When we talk about limited third person, the narrator is not in the story and narrates using the pronouns she or he. Also, the narrator is unable to see into the minds of the characters. So that is what is so called the limited third person. The next one is the last one under the point of view is omniscient third person. When we say omniscient third person, the narrator is not in the story as well and narrates using the pronouns she or he. The narrator can tell the thoughts of the characters as he can see into their minds. So that's the types of point of view in a short story. So for the recap of my discussion, for the short story, I talk about the 6 basic elements of the short story. I mentioned the character, wherein character has two most important characters, when the protagonist and the antagonist. Like what I said earlier, when we say protagonist, this is considered as the main character or the most important of all the characters, while the antagonist is the character that challenge the main character. So the next one is the setting where the action take place, and the third one is the plot. Plot is the actual story, or it is the series of the event. It is a series of the event characters actions that lead to the highest point of interest in a short stories. Under the plot, there is exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the last one is the resolution. And the point one for the basic elements is the conflict. The conflict is a story needs to have a problem, and this problem is called a conflict. And the next one is the theme. The theme is the central idea in a short story, and the general truth as well. So that's the theme. And the last one is the point of view. Point of view is a story, or it is a story that is being narrated. So that's all the my topics and my discussion about the 6 basics, or about the short stories, including the 6 basic elements of making a short story. So it is very important to consider those elements in writing a short stories. That's it.